General Milley was the Army's Chief of Staff in 2018 when he made history. He became the first ever chairman of the Joint Chiefs, whose nomination was announced in a tweet. In the message, then President Trump called both Milley and his predecessor, Joe Dunford, incredible men. Trump would come to turn on his chairman and embroil him in politics. He stayed on when President Biden took office. In a recent Rose Garden address, Biden said to Milley,
"I trust you completely, completely."
Now, more of General Milley's exit interview with me. General, let me ask you about some questions relating to civil-military relations, because you occupy a unique position. You are a uniformed military officer, but you are also the principal advisor to the president. You said after President Trump asked you to walk with him on that infamous walk through Lafayette Park, and you held up the Bible, that you made a mistake. You shouldn't have been there. What was the mistake in your mind? How would you characterize what you did wrong and what lesson you learned?
Well, I think the key thing is that the United States military must be apolitical, or actually non-political, and non-partisan. And the mistake I made was I walked into a political event, unwittingly, but a political event nonetheless, and I was in uniform. So that shouldn't happen. That's not President Trump, that's me. President Trump is a politician. He can do whatever he wants to do. But as a soldier, I should never enter into politics. And as soon as I recognized it, it lasted all of about 30 to 40 seconds. Photos were taken, lasted a lifetime kind of thing. But as soon as I recognized it, I walked away. My aide and security detail walked off to the right and got out of the way. So, but yeah, that shouldn't have happened. And I knew instantly, once I realized it was a political event, that I shouldn't be there in uniform. And I thought the best thing to do, I was already on a pre-planned speech for graduation for NDU, and I inserted part of it to try to make that as a teaching moment for our up-and-coming officers to make sure they knew that I had made a mistake, and I regretted that.
If you had to do it again,
I would not have participated.
President asked you to do something, presumably in the Oval Office, you would have said no.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no place for a uniform to be in a political event, period. Now, that doesn't mean, that it doesn't happen every now and again. I've been in, both sides of the aisle of put me or my predecessors in photographs at various times, et cetera. That stuff happens. It's not necessarily great, but it happens on occasion. I've been in campaign commercials, and we've asked campaigns to please take us out, and normally they do. So bottom line is the United States of America is a healthy, independent, democratic republic. We don't want our military involved in actual U.S. domestic politics. It is true that war is politics by violent means, but that's a different case. We're talking about U.S. domestic politics, and the U.S. military has no part in that. So there are critics of yours on the right who say, you say all that, but you actually do inject yourself into politics. You talk about how the military is not woke, how military officers should be reading Karl Marx, how you've opined on things that for some of them they feel is not adhering to the kind of strict Huntingtonian distinction between civil authority and military authority. Well, yeah, as a chairman, you're rendering advice, but all of our officers operate inside of a political environment. So injecting yourself into politics is not the same as being informed by the environment that you're operating in. If you're operating or rendering advice to any civilian authorities, you do have to be informed and have an understanding of the terrain that you're operating in. So blissful ignorance isn't one of those courses of action. You need to be informed of the society that you defend and the environment in which you're operating. So a broad education, I think, is critical to any professional officer of any branch.
Is the U.S. military too woke?
No, not at all. I'm not even sure what that word truly means, but I would tell you that the military I see is a military that's exceptionally strong, it's powerful, it's ready. In fact, our readiness rates, the way we measure readiness, is better now than they've been in years. And what I see on a day-to-day basis, right now, for example, Fareed, in the last 24 hours, we've had about 5,000 sorties of U.S. aircraft that are keeping the skies safe. You've had somewhere between 60 and 100 U.S. naval vessels patrolling the 7 seas. You've got 250,000 U.S. troops, ground troops, like the Army or Marine Corps, on Freedom's frontier sort of thing, around the world maintaining peace and stability. This is a military that's dedicated to maintaining our readiness, our capabilities, our lethality. And the thing that we also need to focus on is the modernization for the future character of war that I see fundamentally changing. But this military is a lot of things, but woke it's not. So I take exception to that. I think that people say those things for reasons that are their own reasons, but it's not true. It's not accurate, and it's not to say, by the way, that there's not some things out there that could be fit into that category, but I don't think it certainly is. It's not a broad brush description of the U.S. military as it exists today.
And finally, are you going to write a memoir?
I'll probably write. I don't know that I would do a tell-all. A lot of people have mentioned that to me. But frankly, I haven't given a lot of thought to what I do after 1 October. Right now, there's a lot of things going on. We've got a couple of weeks left. Bad things can happen in very short periods of time in the world. So I've got to remain focused on the job, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'll probably write some things in the future. Tell-alls, probably not. I think that's probably not something that a chairman or a general officer should be doing. But I think that I'll probably write and make some sort of contribution. Right now, though, I'm focused on the job, and I got to run through the tape here all the way to 1 October.
General, pleasure to have you on, sir.
Thanks, Reed. Appreciate the opportunity.